welcome. You are watching the Newshour Agenda, India's most loved primetime show, week after week at 10. I'm Padmaja Joshi. Today, a two-judge bench delivered a split verdict on the hijab issue. The arguments basically boil down to a question, and the eternal question of rules versus rights, of whether you could get exceptions in the name of choice and religious practice. Justice Dhulia held that it is about a woman's choice, and if wearing a hijab doesn't hurt anyone, why should anyone have objection to it? Justice Gupta, though, focused on the issue of equality and uniformity and stressed how no one can seek exceptions on the basis of their faith. So let's take you through the details of the reasoning given by both, because it's important for you to understand that. Let's break it down. What did Justice Gupta say? His order was in favor of not allowing hijab inside the classroom. He said the state has jurisdiction to decide rules. The state can say, this is the uniform inside the classroom and you have to adhere to the uniform. And this cannot be breached on the basis of faith. All rights, even the right to religion, even your right to wear a hijab, are subject to reasonable restrictions. And finally, that religion isn't even relevant to a state-funded school. That's what Justice Gupta said. Now, Justice Dhulia, who was in favor of making these exceptions and allowing girls to wear a hijab instead of their uniform, he said that the hijab is a religious practice, even if it isn't an essential religious practice. According to him, children can choose to wear it as a part of their religion. He also said that if not allowed to wear a hijab, children may be denied education as a fallout. And finally, the argument of tolerance, essentially saying, look, they're not hurting you. They need to get an education. Why are you denying them an education just because you have a problem with the hijab? No harm is done. Just accommodate a little bit. Accommodation, tolerance versus rules, and the question of rules versus rights. So here is the big question that we are faced with. What's going to happen right now is that there will be a larger bench, perhaps with the CJI on it, and a three-judge bench is now going to examine this question. And before them will be three central questions. If Justice Dhulia is talking about exceptions to be made to rules in order to accommodate, how far should people be accommodated? If these exceptions are then made on humane concerns, and you'll say adjust a little, tolerate a little, accommodate a little, then there will be no uniformity be left. The whole idea of a uniform will be obsolete. Everything will be an exception, there will be no rule. Isn't it counterproductive? And this is the really dangerous part. When you say, oh, let the woman wear a hijab because it's important for her dignity, aren't we setting a very dangerous precedent for saying, for a woman to be dignified, she has to be in a hijab. If she decides to cast it off, somehow that impacts her dignity.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
So let's take it one by one. We're joined on the panel by Zina Chaukat Ali, Islamic scholar, Amna Begum Ansari, research and political analyst, Sayyida Falak, activist and political analyst, Dr. Lubna Kamaal, assistant professor at Jawaharlal Nehru Homeopathy Medical College, Shaista Amber, social activist and president of the All India Muslim Women's Personal Law Board, and Shahid Ali, lawyer. I want to start with you, Zina Chaukat Ali. When we had one of the judges today saying, let's not impact the dignity of the lady in asking her to take off her hijab, what do you make of that argument, saying that her hijab is inextricably linked to her dignity?
I think I cannot agree with that, because women who do not wear the hijab are equally dignified. And as a matter of fact, if you go into the details of what Saudi Arabia has just said in the year 2018-19. The Sheikh Abdullah Mutlaq, what he has said is that the abaya is not essential to wear the abaya, but you must dress in a dignified way. So where is the question of a hijab only being dignified and no other form of dress being dignified? I think that the distinction that is being made, that only wearing a hijab brings you that dignity, I cannot buy that. There are many women across in our country who wear saris, who wear other kinds of dresses, who are equally dignified, and who conduct themselves with great dignity. So I don't think that I can fall by that kind of argument.
Dr.
But you see,
Lubna Kamaal, dignity and hijab are not linked. Dr. Lubna Kamaal.
Yes, I agree with that. It is not linked. It is, yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, ma'am. Go on.
Am I audible?
Yes, go on, ma'am.
Yeah. So it is not linked, but yes, it is an essential religious practice of Islam, and women are supposed to dress modestly and to cover their heads. But this is something which cannot be forced by anyone on any Muslim women. So, but the question before us should be,
right now
when so many cases of rape and molestations are like pending in
choice
courts,
or no choice, first let's figure out the issue of dignity. You agree that a woman doesn't have to wear a hijab to be dignified, right? A woman even without a hijab is fully dignified, as dignified as you are.
Yes. Yes.
So we are casting that argument out. A woman doesn't have to wear a hijab to be dignified. So a child, when she is going to school and to retain her dignity, doesn't have to wear the hijab. So to say to a child that, listen, here is a uniform, please take off your hijab, doesn't rob her of her dignity, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
It doesn't rob her of her dignity. Then why should the child wear it to school? If she's as dignified without her hijab, then why should she wear it?
See, there are parents, there are families, there are circles where it is mandatory for girls to wear hijab. It is, you can say they are brainwashed into wearing it. It is not by their personal choice, but out of compulsion, maybe out of respect for their parents. They are wearing.
So it's not a choice.
So, but the important thing here is the right to education.
One, it is not required to be dignified, and second, it's not even their choice. So why are we imposing something on girls which you admit is being brainwashed or imposed, and we are saying, yes, let them continue to be brainwashed or imposed? Again, the central question, why does that child need to wear a hijab?
Because things will not change overnight. See, things you need to understand now. You need to understand one thing is that things will not change overnight.
Okay, how long will they change?
There are families who will stop the girls from going to school. So it is more important. No, just let me complete. It is important for them.
What is the deadline for change, ma'am? 10 years, 20 years, 50 years? What's the deadline for change?
See, I cannot predict that. But yes, the girls, when they are financially independent, then only they'll be able to decide what's best for them.
But ma'am, how can they decide what's best for them if they are being brainwashed, like you just said?
Let them get education. Let them be financially independent.
Zina Chaukat Ali. So it's
why do you want to stop them from going to school?
Okay, it's a gradual process, Zina Chaukat Ali.
I think, you see, this entire debate, first of all, as you have mentioned, that there is a discipline and there is a rule in a school. We are not talking about hijab generally. In the country, you can wear whatever you want, the constitution permits it. We are talking very much of a child going to school and a discipline that the school follows. And in that discipline, there is a uniform that all children across religion, there is no religious symbolism, as the High Court has said, neither the saffron robe, nor the head cover, nor any kind of religious symbolism to be expressed. And I think what could be better for a child to be in that atmosphere and grow educationally in that atmosphere as an equal with her colleagues, with her children, with her fellow students. And I think that is a rule that I stand by. I have said from day one, and I believe that is the way to go.
And we are putting the cart before the horse. Instead of telling the child that, listen, follow the rules which everyone is following to gain an education, you're like, oh, in order for her to gain education, let us make exceptions. Because where do the exceptions end? Amna Begum Ansari when we ask for exceptions, the judge basically said today, Justice Dhulia, why are you depriving girls of education? The fallout of your insistence is that these poor girls can't go to school. Just make an exception, no? Amna Begum Ansari?
Yeah, and exactly. Also, I do not understand why do we keep, I don't know, keep blackmailing, I would say, because that's the word I use mostly. Blackmailing state and institution in the name of the religion. Why don't we ask from the Muslim society that you should give priority to your women's education over such a patriarchal construct? So our entire priority is misplaced here. All the liberals I am listening, they are just making the argument in favor of such a regressive patriarchal construct, which we are supposed to follow. And this thing that hijab is a choice, it cannot be choice. Let me tell you one very important thing. When we read Surah Nur, the Surah Nur contains the same instruction for the men what they have for the women. But we see the men interpret entire surah in the way that women has to wear certain cloth, but men has all the option available for themselves. Why there is a different, when the instruction is same, why there is a different kind of uniform we see for the men and women? So we should understand that it's a patriarchal interpretation, because religion has been always in the hand of the men.
Shahid Ali, so this was never about religion. This was never about choice at all. It is basically patriarchy, which is hiding behind religion and choice. Shahid Ali.
I have serious objections, Padmaja, to your opening words, wherein you said that this is dangerous, while citing the judgment passed by Justice Dhulia. So you have been
Sir, I will explain to you why I said it is dangerous. It is dangerous, sir, because the moment you say a woman is dignified when she wears hijab, you make every woman not wearing a hijab fair game. This is, you know how it happens. This is victim blaming, where men say, oh, she's wearing a skirt, so she asked for it. She is not a dignified woman. She is not a good woman. She got out of parda. She got out of hijab. She's a bad woman.
My duty was to caution you. My duty was to caution you. I have cautioned. Now this is for you. Either
absolutely,
you take leave
sir.
from
I absolutely stand by my assertion, because the very morality of thrusting it upon women to be a dignified woman, to be a religious woman, you have to wear hijab. It's extremely dangerous. It is patriarchal and frankly bordering on misogynist.
Can you give me, Padmaja, can you give me one example since the birth of this country, since 1947 till date, whether there is any incident of any crime committed by a woman wearing hijab?
Sir,
so what is the ground of this? What is the ground that we will not allow hijab?
It's crimes committed on women because they were dressed a certain way. You are turning it around, sir.
If there is any crime getting committed by a woman wearing
only on the ground of public morality.
No, there is not. But it's a patriarchal construct, so we have to point it out. And listen, why I should get a certificate because I do not wear a hijab? I am not a good Muslim. I am not a good Muslim. Even I follow societal rule. I follow the law. I am a good student. I listen to my mother, parents, but I am not good Muslim if I am not wearing the hijab. What kind of certificate it is?
I am not talking about that. Ms. Ansari, please do not fall in their trap. Ms. Ansari, please do not fall in their trap. I am not saying that. What I am saying,
their trap?
If one wishes to go to school,
that's a big
what's the problem?
What's the trap in that?
Brought into the ban only on the ground
this is about the basic human principle. This is not about their trap.
What is the problem to public order? What is the problem to public order? What is the problem
Sir,
to public order?
Sir, it is not about public order.
Government of Karnataka could
it is about basic freedoms.
To the notice. Yes,
Sir,
only
this is about, okay, so let me ask you one thing. Now let me ask you the follow-up question. Okay, hold on a second, sir. Hold on a second. Let me quote to you a very specific example. Hold on a second, Mr. Shahid Ali. Your logic is, अगर किसी को तकलीफ नहीं हो रही है, तो चलने दो. अगर किसी का बुरा नहीं हो रहा है, तो चलने दो. Now let me quote to you an example from 2016. In 2016, an airman, hold on sir,
Please
an airman, hold on sir,
25.
an airman went to the Supreme Court, okay? He was dismissed from the Air Force because he, despite a uniform, said, I want to keep a beard. The Air Force said, no sir, the Air Force has a uniform. He went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court upheld his dismissal from the Air Force, and this is what the Supreme Court said. Discipline and uniformity have precedence over fundamental right to religion. The Supreme Court further said, uniformity of personal appearance is quintessential to a cohesive, disciplined and coordinated functioning. A uniform, sir, is important to cohesive functioning. Now, you would argue, अरे उनकी दाढ़ी रखने से किसका बुरा हो रहा है? पब्लिक ऑर्डर तो कोई बदल नहीं रहा ना, तो आप दाढ़ी भी रखने दो एयरफोर्स में. That would be your argument, right, Shahid Ali?
It's not from Honorable Supreme Court. Honorable Justice Dhulia is also from Honorable Supreme Court. He has passed an order.
Sir, this is a three-judge bench I am quoting. And this three-judge bench actually comprised of T.S. Thakur, D.Y. Chandrachud and L. Nageshwar Rao. So a three-judge bench actually upheld this. You will cherry-pick and say, Justice Dhulia I believe in, but a three-judge bench said that uniformity is more important than your rights.
These two judgments are on two different footings.
Sir, you cannot choose what is important. I am talking about one past precedent and essential principle. In principle, Mr. Shahid Ali, now don't fall back on what Justice Dhulia said. You were talking about a principle. So answer me, sir, since you are an advocate, answer me. According to you, you will say, hold on, sir, hold on. This gentleman, Mohammad Zubair, told the Supreme Court, I want to keep a beard despite being in Air Force. Your argument would be, उसको क्या किसी को तकलीफ हो रही है, किसी को कोई हर्ट थोड़ा ना हो रहा है. आपके हिसाब से तो फिर एयरफोर्स में दाढ़ी भी अलाउड होनी चाहिए.
Then have the debate on beard. Have the debate on beard. Now you are misquoting this.
Sir, it is about what exceptions you claim in the name of religious right.
This is on different perspectives, different footings.
Why is it different?
Here is the judgment passed by Honorable Supreme Court.
Because he is a man, so it's different. You are saying essential to religion, right? Mohammad Zubair also claimed it was essential to his religion, so he wanted to keep a beard.
Freedom, fundamental freedom of speech and expression, as well as freedom of religion. The Honorable Supreme Court says so.
Uniformity supersedes freedom of religion. The Supreme Court of India has held it. Uniformity and rules supersede your freedom of religion.
The order has been passed by whom?
It has been passed by Chief Justice, then Chief Justice T.S. Thakur, Justices D.Y. Chandrachud and L. Nageshwar Rao. It was a three-judge bench, including the Chief Justice of the time in 2016.
That is on different footings. I have been saying so that in different footings. Please do not equate.
Okay, different footings. Can you elaborate, Zeenat Shaukat Ali, how is this on a different footing? Because essentially it boils down to this. Can you seek exceptions on the basis of your faith? And where does it end?
You see, this entire approach is so patriarchal. It is so puritanical. You see, the entire understanding projected that I see is very puritanical. It is misogynistic, and it is a mindset that has been made. And that frozen mindset to defreeze. You see, it is for us to defreeze, and only we can do it, sir. Mr. Ali, only we can do it. Nobody else can help us to do it. So what actually the courts are saying, and what we are trying to project, is that we have to follow the rules of an institution. Then there is a particular institution. अभी आप हज के लिए जाते हैं, तो वहाँ एक ड्रेस होता है, जो आप एहराम पहनते हो, फिर आपका हज होता है. When you go to a court, then there is a judge and there is a lawyer, then there is a particular way, there is a doctor. You know, when you go to the hospital, they wear the white gown, there is a code. Now here in a school, if there is a uniform, सब बच्चे एक साथ हो जाते हैं, so what is so objectionable is something that I am completely zapped, and I'm unable to understand this entire argument. We have not talked about hijab in India. The Constitution is giving you permission to dress as you please. We are simply talking about a school uniform and how the school has a uniform, and if you want to go to that particular school, there are certain rules and regulations everywhere. So when you want to go, you fill in a form. When you fill in the form, then you follow the laws.
Sayyida Falak, similarly, like Zeenat Shaukat Ali said, you seek exceptions in schools. Tomorrow if somebody will say कि हज पे जाने के लिए you have to dress a certain way, I don't want to dress like that. I want to dress according to my own comfort. Would you be okay with that choice?
Actually, your audio is for a minute.
Shaista Ambar, would you like to take that question? Would you be okay with that choice? If somebody seeks exceptions over there.
मैं आपसे
हर जगह के अपने रूल्स होते हैं और अगर आप कह रहे हैं कि भाई मेरा कुछ हक है, मेरी एक मर्जी है, उसमें मुझे एक्सेप्शन चाहिए. Would you be okay with that exception?
रूल को फॉलो करना पड़ेगा, रूल को फॉलो करना पड़ेगा, रूल को फॉलो करना पड़ेगा. कोई एक्सेप्शन नहीं की बात नहीं है. रूल को फॉलो करना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो आपको अपना इंस्टीट्यूशन अपना बनाइए, अपना खुद आप एजुकेशन करिए. लेकिन अगर आप किसी एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन पे हैं तो आप किसी एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन पे अपनी बात नहीं थोप सकते हैं. जो आपके वहाँ के रूल है, नॉर्म है, उसी को आपको फॉलो करना होगा.
बताइए शाहिद अली, जहां पे आप हैं वहां का रूल फॉलो कीजिए. हज में आप हज के रूल फॉलो कीजिए, स्कूल में आप स्कूल के रूल फॉलो कीजिए.
That is her viewpoint. Yes, we are following Constitution of India. Constitution is Bible of India. We are following that. Constitution permits us, allows us.
Why don't you follow the Supreme Court of India also? The Supreme Court has ruled in a similar matter. It has said very clearly that your right, sir, has reasonable restrictions.
The Supreme Court say that this is the one's choice. Either to wear, not to wear.
So tell me one thing, I'm very curious. Just a second. Let me bring in, whenever it comes to, hold on a second, Mr. Shahid Ali, you're so vocal and you're so aggressive about how women are making this choice. Let me ask you this, Amna Begum Ansari, doesn't the same religion also ask for men to be dressed in a certain way? Why aren't men dressed like that? Why are they always insistent on women dressing like this and being dignified? Dignified men are also supposed to dress a certain way, right? How are they supposed to dress? And how many men are dressing like that?
And it says men should guard their private part. They should. Hello.
Yes, go on. Amna Begum Ansari, go on.
Yeah, men should guard their private part. They should not see women with their lusty eyes and all those things. There, but they will not talk about that. They will never talk how Muslim men are there wearing all kind of dresses, making TikTok videos, dancing naked. It's all fine for the men, but when it comes to women, their patriarchal mindset just come forward and then they speak about religion, not about their own patriarchal mindset. And let me tell you one thing: there could be a personal choice that someone want to have a cigarette, but you cannot say कि I'm going to have a cigarette inside an institution where it is not allowed. It's your personal choice, but you cannot do into certain premises. So do not do not bring this word salah to justify everything. Yes, you have a religious rights, but it cannot supersede the autonomy of an institution.
Absolutely, and there have been past precedents to this. This might be an unpopular opinion, but it is an opinion. In fact, it is a fact that we are going to argue till kingdom come. In principle, what the hijab stands for, what the face veil stands for, cannot be denied by anyone, and all this logic being offered is nothing more than a fig leaf. Let's be absolutely clear about that. The Iran example is staring us in the face. It's time India wakes up. Thanks very much, all ladies and Shahid Ali, for joining me.